took the job because I thought nothing ever happened in national forests. That was the whole point. After 6 months of academy training, wildfire drills, wildlife protocols, and more paperwork than I thought existed in the natural world, my first assignment was a remote ranger station buried in nearly 1 million acres of pine, swamp, and low mountains. The kind of place where the radio crackled more from weather than from human voices. They told me it was a quiet post. They said rookies were lucky to get it. At the time, I agreed. Now I'm not so sure. The station sat at the end of 30 miles of gravel road. 1 cabin for me, 1 equipment shed, 1 fire tower half a mile uphill, no cell service, radio only. At night the forest didn't sound like I expected. Movies make forests loud, crickets, owls, rustling. This one just stopped. Around midnight every night, everything went quiet at once, not gradually, like someone flipping a switch. The first time it happened, I stepped outside with my flashlight and just listened. No insects, no wind, no branches shifting, just the faintest smell of wet soil and pine resin. And something else, something like old fur after rain. I figured it was normal wilderness stuff. I stopped thinking about it for a while. My first real call came on day 9. Dispatch said a couple from Ohio hadn't returned from a backcountry campsite. Happens sometimes. Twisted ankle, lost trail, dead battery. I grabbed my pack, radio, and drove as far as the truck could go. After that, it was a 4-mile hike. The trail itself looked fine. No storm damage, no mudslides, just pine needles and quiet. Too quiet. Halfway there, I noticed something strange. No birds, not a single one. Even in deep forest, you hear something. But not here. Just my boots crunching. And once, I thought I heard something crunching back. I found their site untouched, tent standing, cooler sealed, backpacks inside, wallets, phones, keys, all still there. People don't abandon everything like that, not voluntarily. I radioed it in and started documenting. That's when I saw the ground. At first I thought they were bear tracks. Huge impressions in the pine needles. But bears don't walk like that. These prints were long, narrow, and wrong. 5 toes, but stretched. Like something halfway between a human foot and something else. And the stride? Way too long. Whatever made them wasn't walking. It was stepping, deliberately, like it didn't need to hurry. I should have left right then. Protocol said mark the site and wait for search teams. But I was new. I wanted to prove I could handle things. So I followed the tracks. Only about 50 yards. That's all it took, because that's when I heard it. Not a roar, not a growl, not anything animal. It sounded like someone trying to remember how to speak. A low, broken, almost voice, far off, slow, wet, like words forming inside a throat that wasn't built for them. I froze. The sound came again, closer. And this time I realized something worse. It wasn't random. It was copying, soft, hoarse. Help, my own voice, from 10 seconds earlier. I ran. Didn't care about dignity. Didn't care about rookie pride. I packed fast and got out. All the way back down the trail, I kept hearing footsteps that stopped when I stopped, started when I started, never rushing, never stumbling, just matching me, like it already knew it would catch me if it wanted. But it didn't. It just followed. Until I reached the truck. The moment the engine started, the forest sounds came back, all at once. Birds, wind, insects. Like someone flipped the switch back on. Back at the station, I filed everything. Tracks, audio notes, timeline. Dispatch responded with 1 sentence. Search team already checked site yesterday. No unusual tracks reported. Yesterday. I'd been the first person there today, which meant either they missed those massive prints or something made them after the search. 2 nights later, I pulled tower watch. Standard shift, climb up, log weather, scan for smoke. Around 1:12 a.m., the quiet hit again, total silence. From up there, you can usually hear miles of forest, But that night, nothing. Then I heard something below the tower ladder. Slow climbing, metal rung, pause, metal rung, pause, heavy, too heavy. I grabbed the spotlight and aimed down. Nothing. Empty ladder. Still. Silent. Then the radio on my shoulder crackled. Not dispatch. Not static. My own voice. Perfect. Clear. Right into my ear. I found their sight. A sentence I had only spoken once. Out loud. In the woods. I didn't sleep after that. Next morning I packed to request a transfer. While loading the truck, I felt that same wrong silence start creeping in. Slowly, one insect at a time going quiet, then the wind dying, then the birds stopping. I looked toward the tree line. At first, I thought it was just bark texture. Then it blinked. High up between two pines, a face, not fully visible. Too tall, too thin, skin the color of stripped wood. Eyes reflecting light like an animal's, and the mouth, too wide, trying to shape a smile it didn't understand. Then it spoke, perfectly calm, perfectly human. My voice, quiet post, nothing ever happens here. That's when it hit me. It wasn't hunting people for food, it was learning them, listening, repeating, practicing. The missing campers, practice. The copied voices, practice. Watching the station, practice. And rookies? Perfect targets. No one knows what they're supposed to expect. I did get transferred, eventually. Official reason, staffing needs. Unofficially, the station closed 3 months later. No explanation. Maps now list the access road as decommissioned. But sometimes at night, when everything suddenly goes quiet where I live now, I still hear something outside, standing just beyond the tree line, not rushing, not threatening, just waiting. And sometimes, very softly, it practices. Help. Ranger station. Nothing ever happens here. And lately, it's gotten very, very good at sounding human. I never planned to be the last member of my team. When people imagine archaeology, they think of sunlit digs and careful brushes, of fragments slowly revealing history. They don't imagine rot. They don't imagine heat so thick it presses against your lungs, or insects that crawl into your ears while you sleep, or the way the jungle seems to breathe when you stand still long enough. By the time we reached the ruins, 3 days from the nearest airstrip, the jungle had already begun to feel watchful, not alive exactly, aware. Our maps were guesses at best. Satellite images showed irregular stone shapes beneath the canopy, nothing more. The local guides refused to come closer than the river bend, crossing themselves and muttering words none of us understood. One of them, an older man with cloudy eyes, grabbed my wrist before leaving. "Do not wake what is pretending to sleep," he said. I laughed then. I wish I hadn't. The ruins weren't like anything I'd studied. No inscriptions that matched known scripts. No recognizable iconography. Just massive stone blocks, fused together as if poured instead of stacked, rising from the jungle floor like bones pushing through skin. The air changed the moment we crossed the threshold. The humidity dropped, the insects vanished. Even the sound of birds faded until all we could hear was our own breathing and the faint drip of water somewhere deep within the stone. We set up camp at the edge of the structure. That night, none of us slept well. The jungle beyond the ruins roared with life, but inside the stone perimeter, there was only silence. Absolute, deliberate silence. Sometime before dawn, I heard footsteps, slow, bare, dragging slightly like someone unused to walking. I sat up in my tent, heart pounding, and listened. The steps circled the camp once, twice, never coming close enough to touch the tents. Then they stopped. When morning came, there were no tracks, no signs, just a smell, faint but unmistakable, old stone, and something underneath it, something spoiled. We began excavation on the second day, clearing vines, brushing away centuries of decay. Beneath the surface debris, the stone was smooth, too smooth. No chisel marks, no tool scars. It looked grown. As we uncovered more, patterns began to emerge. Not carvings, but depressions. Long grooves, shallow and winding, spiraling inward toward the center of the structure. They weren't decorative, they were worn, as if something had passed over them again and again. One of my colleagues, Martin, joked that it looked like a track, like something had been dragged in circles. No one laughed. By late afternoon, we found the entrance, a narrow passage descending into darkness, just wide enough for one person at a time. The stone walls were warm to the touch, warmer than the surrounding air, and faintly damp. We argued about going in. Protocols, safety, daylight. But curiosity won, as it always does. We rigged lights and ropes and descended. The passage opened into a chamber so vast our headlamps barely reached the ceiling. The walls curved inward, forming a dome, and the floor sloped gently toward a central pit. Every surface was covered in the same grooves, spiraling, converging. And in the center of the pit, something moved. At first I thought it was water, a slow, dark ripple, barely visible. Then it rose, not all at once, not dramatically, just enough to catch the light. The surface wasn't liquid, it was flesh, or something pretending to be. It pulsed, expanding and contracting as if breathing, though no lungs were visible. No mouth, no eyes, just folds, layers, endless overlapping ridges that seemed to rearrange themselves when you weren't looking directly at them. One of the lights flickered, and the thing reacted. A tremor passed through it, sending ripples across the chamber floor. The grooves filled briefly with a dark sheen, then dried. That's when we heard it. Not a sound through the air, but pressure inside the skull. A sensation behind the eyes. A thought that wasn't ours. Not words, intent, hunger, memory. Martin screamed and dropped his light. In the sudden darkness, something reached out from the pit. It wasn't a limb, it didn't have joints or bones. It was a stretching of itself, a slow extension of mass that followed the grooves as if they were designed for it. Because they were. The stone wasn't decoration, it was a containment system. We ran. I don't remember climbing back up the passage. I remember hands pulling me, the rope burning my palms, the sense that something was rising behind us, not chasing, not rushing, waiting. By the time we reached the surface, the jungle had gone silent again. That night, Martin vanished. His tent was empty, no blood, no struggle. Just his boots, neatly placed outside, toes pointing toward the ruins. We tried to leave at first light. Radios didn't work. GPS units spun uselessly. The jungle paths we'd taken in were gone, swallowed by growth that looked decades old. And then the dreams started. Every time I slept, I was back in the chamber, back at the pit. But in the dreams, the things spoke, not in a voice. In images. A time before the jungle, before humans, a world where it had stretched across the land like a living continent, absorbing everything it touched. Oceans thickened, forests collapsed into it, life fed it endlessly, until something learned how to hurt it. Not kill, hurt. The images showed creatures that weren't human shaping stone, pouring it around the thing, carving channels to control its movement. Not to destroy it, but to confine it, to feed it slowly. The last image was always the same, the chamber empty, the pit dry, the stone cracked. On the third day, Sarah began speaking in her sleep. She whispered apologies, names none of us recognized, coordinates. She said the thing was lonely. She said it remembered when the world was warm all the way through. She didn't wake up. Her body was still there in the morning, but something had changed. Her skin was gray, stretched too tight, as if something inside her had rearranged itself and left in a hurry. We buried her far from the ruins. By then, the grooves had begun to appear outside the structure, subtle at first, just shallow lines in the dirt, forming wide arcs around the camp, then deeper, closer. The stone was expanding, not physically, conceptually, as if the idea of the structure was spreading, overwriting the jungle one groove at a time. The thing wasn't escaping. It was teaching the world how to hold it. The last night I stayed awake. I watched the ruins from the edge of the camp as moonlight slid across stone that hadn't seen the sky in thousands of years. The pit was no longer dark. It glowed faintly, pulsing in slow rhythm, and I understood. The thing didn't need to move. It didn't need to chase. It had been patient once. It could be patient again. All it needed was to be remembered. I left before dawn. I don't know how I found the river. I don't remember the jungle opening for me, but it must have, because I made it out alone. When I was rescued weeks later, dehydrated and raving, they dismissed everything as trauma, hallucination, infection. The expedition was declared a failure. The site was marked inaccessible, but sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet enough, I feel it again. That pressure behind my eyes, that ancient, vast attention. It doesn't speak anymore. It doesn't need to. It knows I remember. And memory, it has learned, is the first crack in any prison.